Hey guys, welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. I'm Judea Murray. All right, listen, absolutely wild cases that I'm about to unfold for you guys. 4 Georgia jailers, all facing very similar crimes, accused of smuggling contraband into the different facilities that they work at. While their charges feel common, what got them caught is what really sets all of these cases apart. We're going to take a deep dive into what's, in my opinion, starting to feel like a phenomenon. All of these cases we are learning about are all around the same time within the last month or so. So let's start in Fulton County, where we learned on September 2nd there was a shakedown at the jail, and during which they uncovered a quote-unquote substantial amount of illegal contraband, including cocaine, marijuana, crystal meth, drug strips, and a cell phone. So here's what tipped the law enforcement off to what happened here at the Fulton County Jail. They say that command staff noticed a breach in a window. They took a look at surveillance camera footage, and it showed some inmates passing items under a fire door. And then there was a search later on that uncovered a note that talked about a drone drop scheduled for either August 30th or the 31st. And it implicated, according to investigators, Deputy DeMarcus Jamal Tinsley. He was the floor officer at the time. So not only has he been accused of helping out with this drug smuggling and that drone drop, but the warrant also says that he allowed 3 inmates from one of the housing units to enter a part of the jail they weren't supposed to be in and remain there from 10 p.m. August 31st until 4 a.m. September 1st without any authority. Who knows what they were doing in that area for that amount of time. According to jail records, Tinsley was booked into the Fulton County Jail on October 8th, the very same jail that he was supposed to be a jailer at. He was released the same day on bond, and he's charged with violating his oath as a public officer and conspiracy to commit a felony. Supposedly he lives in Noonan, Georgia, and his bond was set at $35,000. All right, so that's Fulton County, but that's not where it stops. Over in Henry County, we found out that the man you see on your screen, Officer Miles J. Moxie, was also taken into custody after Henry County Sheriff's Office launched a formal criminal investigation into what they believe was happening at their facility. So this one, he was caught when detention staff found that suspected contraband during some routine operations at the jail in McDonough. At the time, investigators believed that there was enough evidence to charge him with violation of oath by a public officer and violation of the Georgia Controlled Substances Act. And because of the severity of the allegations that he was facing, he has also been terminated from his job at the sheriff's office. That's according to agency policy. Now, unlike the other case, we don't have a clear indication of what kind of contraband was found or how much of it was found inside the jail. It's also unclear whether what was found was intended for inmates or for other faculty and staff there at the jail. We also don't know how long he was serving with the Henry County Sheriff's Office before all of this happened. But again, the man that you're looking at on your screen is Officer Miles J. Moxie. And we reported on this a couple of days ago right here in October. I don't have the exact date that all of this was uncovered, but I believe this is all fairly recent because we just got the information from the Henry County Sheriff's Office. All right, and if that's not enough, let's move on over to Clayton County, where not 1, but 2 jail officers were arrested in connection to some sort of contraband smuggling scheme. So the 2 officers that we are dealing with in this case, their names are Ashley Victoria Lewis Allen and K-9 Officer LaShawn Branch. Each of them are charged with bringing drugs into the jail and then distributing them to inmates. And the sheriff, he has told us that he has a zero tolerance policy when it comes to smuggling contraband, no matter who you are. So they laid down the law pretty quickly, even though these are technically members of their own team. They say, you cannot do this in our jail. We have to make an example out of you. So my question, how does something like this happen? Employees are supposed to go through metal detectors when entering the jail, but they're able to hide illegal substances, especially if they have they wouldn't be something that set a metal detector off. But they can hide those substances on their body to avoid detection. There is a checkpoint, but if you put it in the right spot, it might not be noticed or located on you in time. So the contraband, as we all know, or if you don't, I'm going to tell you, tends to sell for really high prices in the jail. These are items that you can't have, so of course everybody wants them. They're willing to pay a lot of money, and it's not just drugs. People are willing to pay $1,500 for a charger and up to $3,000 for a cell phone. Investigators say that Lewis Allen told jail officials, she was the woman that you saw there on your screen, that she was struggling financially and she had just turned to selling contraband to get a little more money. Now, we talked to Captain Jason Bennett from the Clayton County Sheriff's Office for a statement on how they feel about everything that's happening, but also why they took such a strong, stiff stance against these two officers. Let's listen in.
Because it's just a reminder that we still, after all the warnings from the sheriff, after the warnings from other command, after officers being arrested, even in our roll calls, that people are still willing to put themselves at risk and other officers at risk, inmates at risk, to bring contraband into the jail. There's a stigma about law enforcement that there's a blue wall of silence and we protect our own.
But clearly that quote unquote blue wall of silence is not something that people necessarily consider when you are clearly doing wrong in the jail, like these four that I've told you about are accused of doing. If you are caught smuggling contraband into, as we have heard now, the Fulton County Jail, Clayton County Jail, and the Henry County Sheriff's Office, you will be dealt with. That's what we learned here from this little deep dive there. But I just found it really interesting. We come back to me in studio, just how soon after one another that we were hearing about these cases. Is it becoming a phenomenon is a question that I have. Are we hearing about more of these officers being held accountable and being suspected of these things, accused of these things, or is it just that, it just so happens to be happening around the same time, not necessarily related, not necessarily indicative of any other pattern? I'm not sure. But these are the questions that I have when I look at some of these stories, and I find them interesting. So I try to put together these deep dives for you so that you can nerd out with me too about some of the news headlines that we have.